Okay, so this is going to be another problem involving a point on a graph. Okay? So the problem says find the point xy on the graph y, which equals x plus 5, that is closest to the origin. Okay, so my graph y equals x plus 5. I'm looking for an xy coordinate that is on this graph such that it's closest to the origin. Now, when a problem asks about what is closest or what is farthest away, the question that is really being asked is, what is the distance? Okay, so the formula that we're going to use is the distance formula. Okay, now if we're talking about a point away from the origin, the distance is going to equal the square root. This would be x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared. Okay, so that would be now the square root of just x squared plus y squared. Okay, now we're going to use the fact that we're talking about the distance to the origin, and this would tell you the distance to the origin, but it has to satisfy another property. It has to satisfy that it is on y, which equals x plus 5. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to plug y, which equals x plus 5 right here to get it as a function of one variable, so that then we can take its derivative. Okay, so that would be the square root of x squared x plus 5 squared. Great. All right, now let's do some simplification. So that would be the square root x squared plus x squared plus 10x plus 25. Okay. You can simplify a little bit further. So that's going to be the square root of 2x squared plus 10x and plus 25. We're just combining the x squareds. Okay? So now I'm going to take a derivative with respect to x. All right? So the derivative of the distance with respect to x. All right, now, when you take the derivative of the square root, that's the first thing we're going to differentiate. What's it going to do? It's going to spit out a 1/2, all right? And it's going to drop the power to negative 1/2. So this would be 1 divided by, all right, that's the 1/2 right there. All right, negative 1/2 is just saying put the square root on bottom. And we have to obey the chain rule as well. So now we're going to have to take the derivative of what we have on the interior of this thing right here. So that would be 4x plus 10, like that. And remember, yes, set this equal to 0. Okay. All right, now when you're doing this problem, you're not setting the bottom to 0. Remember, if you have a constant divided by 0, it's going to tend towards plus or minus infinity. That's not what you're setting equal to 0. What you're setting equal to 0 is going to be this quantity right here. All right? So, we'll move it over here. What we're really asking at this point of the problem is, well, 4x plus 10 equals 0. So x would equal negative 10 divided by 4, which is the same thing as writing negative 5 divided by 2. Okay? All right, now we have to figure out our y value. So we go back to the equation that we were dealing with before, which was y equals x plus 5. So y is going to equal negative 5 divided by 2 plus 5. Okay? And so that would just be 5/2. So the xy coordinate that I'm looking for that is on that graph that is closest to the origin is negative 5/2, 5/2. Okay? And if you look at our graph, I'll just put it up there. Okay, it's x plus 5. Down to the halfway mark right there. Yeah, the x value is negative 5/2 and the y value is 5/2. So that is the point on this graph that is closest to the origin.